Now, one of the things about his career, I was looking at his baseball reference page. If you were just to guess, how many years do you think he played with the Atlanta Braves?
Oh, I already looked this up, so I already know it. But I
Okay.
had no idea it was that many.
Right.
I can tell you that.
Like, I just assumed he played, like, a few years for the Braves and then, like, 14 years with the Dodgers or something.
Right.
But it was actually 8 and 8. He had 8 years with the Braves and 8 years with the Dodgers. Now, obviously, free agency and stuff was way different back then, so,
Yeah.
uh and then I looked at how many years did he coach or did he manage the Giants, and he managed the Giants for 10 years. And the reason why I looked that information up is because as you know, we've hit a little bit of a nice I don't even know what you would call it, but we have Dodger fans paying attention to this show now because we kind of been calling out some of the stuff that's been going on.
Yeah,
And
man.
we're not even saying that it's like a pox on the Dodgers. We're just saying that we're just bitter
No.
because it's not happening to us.
Yeah, exactly.
And so every time that I think of a topic for this show, I go, "Oh, we got to get a little bit of Dodgers in there because, now we have this." It's mostly a YouTube audience, by the way. It's not the podcast audience, but there's a little
Right.
bit of a YouTube audience who's like checking our channel for any Dodger related content because they want to see us talk about the Dodgers. Then they want to try and dunk on us for whatever. And it is kind of cool that Dusty, even though he played his big league career split between those two teams, that he is known for being a San Francisco Giant through and through. And I don't know if I would have even realized that even I don't know, even a few years ago, that's how people remember him, is they remember him as the manager of the San Francisco Giants even more than those really good Dodgers teams of the 70s that he was on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at it, let's see, 80, he was an MVP candidate, won a Silver Slugger, an 81 All-Star MVP candidate, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger Award, and then an All-Star in 82. 81 was when the Dodgers won their other Mickey Mouse
Yeah,
championship.
the other
This-
strike short season
Yeah, 100
championship.
and something. See, they're good for winning championships when
Well,
you're talking about you don't have to
that
play a whole season, and they're like, "Oh, well, we could do
yeah,
that."
that's how you would figure it out. You're like, okay, are we having a real season? Dodgers are not winning the World Series.
No,
Are
no.
we
So
having
so there's
half
a
of a
chance.
season? If it's possible to have half of a season, they are just put all your money on them.
Yeah, so in 1994, everybody was probably thinking, well, the Tribe, they were on fire in 1994 before the strike, and remember the Expos, they were on fire. Now we know if they would have just stopped and said we're going to have a World Series, they would have just put the Dodgers in the World
Yeah,
Series because
exactly.
they're like, well, this is a team of destiny to win shortened championships. So,
Yes, exactly.
but yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, Dusty he's not a Brave, he's not a Dodger. Dusty Baker, and he's not even an Astro. Dusty Baker is a Giant, and
Yeah.
obviously, as you see that as he comes back home, once he retires from managing, he comes back home to be with the Giants. I mean, that it's just kind of it's the way it has to be. It's cliche, man, but it's destiny.
What happened with Matt Williams? Did Dusty replace him in Washington?
I got to look that one up because I was just remembering today that he actually managed in Washington. Did they go to the playoffs too?
Yeah, okay, so I have the
Yeah.
Nationals numbers. So 2012, they finishing first in the NL East in 2012. Their manager was Davey Johnson, and they won 98 games. The next year, they finished in second, and then in 2014 was Matt Williams' first year as the manager, and they finished in first again, and that's when we beat them in the playoffs, and they won 96 games. So
Wow.
favored, favored to do very well. And then in 2015, Matt Williams finished at second, 83 and 79. And then he was done. It was like, see you later, buddy.
Yeah.
And Dusty came in. They finished first in 2016, but they lost in the divisional series to the Dodgers. 2017, they finished first again, lost in the divisional series to the Cubs. So Dusty, so it's like Matt in the season Matt gets there, he wins 96, then he wins 83, then Dusty wins 95, then Dusty wins 97. That's 4 years of like really good Nationals baseball. Then Dave Martinez becomes the manager, and then Dave Martinez is the manager in 2019 when they win the World Series over Dusty, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, over no, AJ Hinch was the manager that year.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So so that's kind of interesting. Is Matt, he has a really, really good 2-year stint as manager with the Nationals, and I don't think he's managed again as the lead guy, right?
No, I don't think so. No, he has not. He's just kind of been around with Bob Melvin for a few years. Was he ever with? See, now things are getting kind of muddled because back in Arizona, was he ever with Bob Brenly?
Yeah,
Or
good
did
question.
they?
I think he would have still been playing by then.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he played for Brenly in Arizona. That's a possibility. Looking at Dusty Baker's numbers too, you know how fiery he was as a manager. Can you guess the most amount of times in one season he was ejected?
As a manager or player?
As a manager.
I'm trying to think. I don't remember him getting ejected all that much.
Okay.
It was usually, if I remember, because he's a little bit old school, it had to do with guys being hit or thrown at, where he would kind of get upset.
Probably. Yeah, he would get fired up. It's not a high number. It's not a high number, which shocked me because I always thought, well, maybe like, somewhere around 7 or 8. But
yeah, I would say probably like 3 or 4, maybe.
Yeah, 3. 2004 with the Chicago Cubs, and they even finished above 500, and he got tossed 3 times.
my favorite, like Dusty is like because he's so old school. He's like the king of like he's a little bit of a, not, I wouldn't call him a bully, but he just sits on a little bit of a pedestal because he was a good player as well. And so I think I mentioned this on this podcast a couple times. So Tim Hudson is Giants Bay Bridge series. Tim Hudson, I guess he hit Barry, and Dusty's comment in the press was that Tim Hudson's a little too light in the ass to mess with Barry. But that's kind of the jock kind of stuff that you would get from Dusty, right?
He's an old school guy, man. You don't mess around with the old school guys.
Yeah. So I always, for whatever reason, I remember that comment. I thought it was hilarious as well.
Because
and then Huddy comes over and pitches for us for a couple of years.
Yeah, you think about it too. He basically played in the era of like Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and those guys. Willie Mays and Hank Aaron, they were fiery dudes, but they kind of kept it to themselves when they got fired up. Dusty's kind of the opposite. He played hard. It was a great player, and he let you know about it, man. He let you know about his thoughts and feelings on things, and that's what we love about Dusty. So welcome back, Dusty, man. That is cool. Gather all the old guys.
That's put together. Well, I think this year they are celebrating the 2014 World Series team, but you could do some stuff with the 90s because you can do some stuff with the 80s because you got Melvin, you got Baker, because remember Baker started as a hitting coach, and he even, I think, did he play one season for the Giants?
He did. He played one season, 100 games, 1984.
Yeah, so Dusty's an 80s guy. Melvin is a mid 80s to late 80s guy with the Giants. The story of Matt Williams is in the on deck circle hitting behind Melvin and the 88
Yeah.
Topps baseball card.
I'm sure I have that somewhere. I'm gonna have to bust that out. Yeah.
And they figured out that they figured out the exact game that happened, and Matt Williams was very low in the order because I mean, the people forget Matt Williams, like first couple years, the Giants, he was hitting like in the low 200s or the high 100s and just striking out like every other plate
I'll
appearance.
never forget the year he hit 188. And we wanted, as kids too, we were like, oh, Matt Williams, this guy's the next big thing. Will Clark came up, Robbie Thompson came up, Jose Uribe's here, and then Matt Williams came up. We thought, oh, we're going to gel. Things are going to happen. Trade for Kevin Mitchell, and just could not get going for a couple of years. And we're like, man, what are we going to do with this guy? And then all of a sudden he became Matt Williams.
Yeah, in '89 he starts playing well and he helps them get to the World Series.